There may be a few stragglers for sure, but we're going to get going. Everybody's time is precious. Thank you for making the time to attend this info session tonight. My name is Carl Michener. I'm with the Blue Mountain Watershed Trust, Communications Chair. We will have two presenters with us to field questions towards the end. That is George Powell, who is in charge of this project for the Blue Mountain Watershed Trust Watershed Action Group, and he's chair of the Watershed Action Group, and also Doug Dingeldine, who is a landowner very close to the center of the action, who has a tremendous amount of knowledge about what's going on. So we're going to start. Jillian, yes, we can see and hear you, but you won't hear or see us. Well, I can actually see little bits of you, but I'm going to ask everybody to please stay on mute until we get to the discussion period. This presentation will only take about 15 minutes, and then we're going to have a nice roundtable discussion. If you haven't noticed the chat function, if you go up to the navigation bar on Zoom, over to the far right, typically, there is three little dots and a more button, and in there you will find a chat functionality. So if you have questions that you want to ask, then we will we'll address those during the question and answer period. So we'll get going now. Starting with the title slide here. It's nice to see so many attending. We've got 66 now, and nice to see some the council represented. We have Councillor Deb Doherty with us. Thank you for coming. Some members of the press. We've got Creemore Echo. Thank you for attending. And probably some others that I have not had the chance to notice. We've got members of the Communications Committee from the Watershed Trust. Hello, Kathleen and Morag, and probably some others as well. So if you don't mind just staying muted till the end, then that would be great. There's also an option to raise your hand. So if you can raise your hand during the discussion period, then that would be great. Catherine Daw pointed out that also at the bottom of the taskbar, if you're on a desktop or laptop, is where you will find the chat functionality and the raising hand functionality as well. So we have a flawed decision by Clearview, in our view, and thank you for your interest in helping save escarpment wetlands and helping keep County Road 91. So very briefly about the Watershed Trust. We've been around for 26 years now. We're all volunteer. We are a registered charity, and we're supported by donations and fundraising. You can see our mission there. The goal of our organization is to preserve and enhance natural features and habitat in the Blue Mountains watershed, which extends from Thornbury to Nottawa, and from Georgian Bay to well up on the Escarpment, so quite a large area. Our tagline is, "We need the natural world, help us protect it," and that's what we're doing here today. As you can see from a screenshot of our website, we tackle quite a few issues simultaneously. The ones that we're addressing tonight are aggregates and protecting the Niagara Escarpment, so they come together in this issue right here. So the issue at hand, obviously, is road closure. So Walker Aggregates has expanded quarry operations to both sides of former County Road 91. I'll show you a map in a second. And in 2010, Clearview agreed to sell a portion of this road, about 1 kilometer long, that abuts Walker's properties. Once side road 2627 was reconstructed. So let's take a look at a map here. So you can see from the red circle that we're talking about a small stretch of road, but that would effectively make the rest of the road not very useful, except for Walker's trucks going down County Road 91 to market for their aggregate. So County Road 91, if you're not familiar with it, in this map goes east towards Duntroon It crosses County Road 124, which is Hurontario Street, or the main street of Collingwood, north of here. And then it continues east and goes to Stayner. And if you were to go through Stayner, you would then be on 26 going east towards Barrie. So it's a road that many of you may have driven, and it's fairly well used. So here's really the issue, or many issues rather. So this is a road that has served the community for over 100 years. It goes between counties, and Walker and Clearview needed to provide a comparable alternate route in order to close the road. But closing the road itself has some issues, aside from the 2627. So commerce, farming, tourism, daily commutes, it's a fairly well-used arterial road in this area. It presents a business advantage for Walker because its competitors up on the escarpment will have to find a different route to get their gravel to market. New traffic safety situations whenever you move roads, of course. Emergency service has to take alternate routes. And as you will see, there's quite a bit of taxpayer money involved. So with road replacement, the proposal is side road 2627, and you may know it. You may have hiked it. You may have walked up it. You may have even snowmobiled or skied on it. It's summer only. It has a very steep 14% grade. It traverses Niagara Escarpment Plan protected lands. There are wetlands on either side. There are seeps in the roadbed itself. There are animals that migrate back and forth across this very quiet little traveled road, and species at risk as well. So we'll just take a look at where that is. So in the red circle there, this is side road 2627, which begins in Grey County, Grey Road 31, and goes to Simcoe County's concession road 10 and stops right there. So this would replace that section of 91 that you can see just below. So our big issue as an organization is really around the environment, because we're an environmental charity. So it's around environmental degradation. The road would require extensive widening, lots of upgrading. We've got to cut deeply into the banks in order to lessen the grade from 14% down towards 10%. So the negative impacts, of course, we're clearing on both sides of the road. We're widening the road. There are tributaries to the Pretty River and other water courses in the area, which are cold water trout fisheries, which would definitely be impacted. They are already by this small seasonal road. We'll get to that in a moment. Animal movement, and we have quite a few species at risk. So here's a couple of them. We've got the eastern small-footed bat. Even if you don't like bats, they should still be able to flap around. I will. And we've got some road gravel that washed into an adjacent watercourse pictured by George Powell. This is a tributary to the Pretty, which of course is a trout salmon stream. And even this small road is having a deleterious effect on the watercourses in the area. So is road closure necessary? Well, that's a good question. You can see on the left County Road 91, side road 2627 on the right. Now we know that Walker has built a tunnel under County Road 91 to access quarries on both sides, so their machinery can move back and forth from one side to the other. So that's not an issue. The estimated cost for the road has increased eightfold so far, from $500 to $4 million. So it begs the question, is it necessary? Well, it would be good for Walker for sure. We do have a potential alternate route through the existing Walker quarry. And on this side of the road, it's, I understand it's not all quarried out, but getting towards that. Developed by Gary Hunter, who specializes in this kind of thing. So that is an alternative to doing away with County Road 91. So who's for the development? Well, we have some people supporting the Clearview appeal and the Niagara Escarpment Plan development permit, and those are Clearview Township, Walkers, Merksham Holdings, a company in the area, and some residents nearby. On the other side, we have those against the Clearview appeal and the Niagara Escarpment Plan development permit, and that is our organization, the Niagara Escarpment Commission themselves, Wendy and David Franks, who are landowners abutting former County Road 91, and Wendy Franks and David Stevenson. So to date, very brief timeline. So the Watershed Trust has been involved in this issue for some time now, and since roughly 2010, but we presented to the Niagara Escarpment Commission on the upgrading of 2627 in November 2015. And the Niagara Escarpment Commission board voted no to reconstruction by quite a large margin. The Township of Clearview appealed the decision, and they did some further investigation, which they needed to. They were compelled to do, and in doing so, they discovered wetlands, triggering an application to amend the plan for the Niagara Escarpment Plan. There was a public meeting on that in May 2019. The amendment was denied. Niagara Escarpment Commission staff report was created by the Niagara Escarpment Commission. It was submitted to the board of the Niagara Escarpment, who referred it to the Environmental Hearing Tribunal by a large margin. So what's to come is really where we're at now. So in the spring this year, 2021, we will have an environmental review tribunal hearing, which will be the final decision on whether 2627 reconstruction or expansion goes ahead or it does not. Prior to that, and the date has not been set, prior to that, we have a review tribunal meeting with all parties on February 24th, 2021. So to maintain our party status, which allows the Watershed Trust to present expert witnesses and to cross-examine Clearview's experts, we need to raise some money. We have on this particular issue, and we have many that we're dealing with simultaneously, we've spent over $25,000 on this to date. So we want to inform you all of what's going on, but also we do need your help. So the Niagara Escarpment Commission does lean on us for environmental expert proofs in this fight and sound advice. As I said at the beginning, our organization's efforts are volunteer, but we do pay for experts, and we're pretty low on reserve funds. So we're looking for basically a total here of about $30,000. We have to date received over $2,000 from generous individuals who have received this email about this meeting and have started contributing already. So that's very good. It's a great start, and I would suggest that if this issue is important to you, please consider making a donation. Earmarked for this particular fight, you could donate on our website or contact any one of us. Why now is a question that we get a lot, and it's been difficult to answer all the way along, but really now is the moment of truth. This is where the final decision with the Environmental Review Tribunal will stand. And frankly, things are not looking too bad for our side, but we need to keep the pressure on right now. So many ways to help, and we're almost at the question and answer period here. Many ways to help. You can contact us by email. You may donate at our website. You can call George Powell, who heads up this effort for the Watershed Trust, to offer any kind of assistance at all. And then there's advocacy, writing Township of Clearview, writing Walker, expressing your displeasure, writing Bill Walker, MPP Bruce Gray. I don't know if there's any relation there, probably not. writing Jim Wilson, our MPP in Simcoe. And should you decide to make a donation, all donations above $20 are tax deductible. So as an example here, if you were to donate $4,000, you would get $2,900 of that back, or $400, you would get $290 of that back. So it's a pretty good deal. Got all kinds of questions coming in, so we're almost there. And I'm going to leave it on this slide because if you want to copy down anybody's number, and it looks like the numbers have gone a bit wonky here, apologies, then feel free to do so. So that is good so far. I'm going to open up this for discussion. We'll go through some questions. I've just got to find Doug and Doug Dingledine and George Powell and unmute them here. There he is. So I've asked George to unmute. Trouble finding Doug's name here. Doug, if you want to give me a quick call, I can and tell me what your handle is here. I would be happy to unmute you.
Carl, it's George Powell here. Can you hear me?
Yes, just fine.
Hi, Ruth Hutchison.
Ruth Hutchison, okay. Peggy Hutchison? That's got to be it. All right. I've asked Peggy to unmute. No reaction so far. There we go. Doug?
Yeah, hi.
Great.
I'm using Peggy's computer, so it's
Very
a
good.
little confusing. Sorry.
Very good. Very good.
We don't know how to change my name without screwing it up.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, both of you. I'm going to take some questions in order and just flip them out, and whoever is the best person to answer, please go ahead. And we'll go right through till 8 o'clock and then see where we're at. So let's see here. We have Kim asks, what are aggregates used for? What do we need to give up to avoid the road closure? So aggregates.
Well,
yeah,
maybe I could start off. Aggregates are an essential building material used in making concrete, used for building roads, all kinds of things like that. But fortunately, in our area here, we are blessed with a plethora of aggregate material. There is really no great reason to mine aggregate on the escarpment. However, for some reason, the Ministry of Natural Resources has felt that companies can get away with applying for licenses and mining on the escarpment. So unfortunately, it's been a practice right from one end of the escarpment to the other.
Yep, that's a great answer. We'll keep them short because we've probably got dozens of questions.
Carl, if I could just add to that, what the issue you have with Walker is they have a very high valuable aggregate. It isn't limestone. It's a thing called a dolomite. And what that is a harder rock. It's got magnesium in it. And that's the reason that the escarpment's here today. It didn't erode away. If it had been limestone, which is a calcium material, it is not as durable. And it would have over millions of years, and it ended up, the Niagara escarpment wouldn't be there. So that's really important to understand that. But it is a valuable rock, and that's why Walker are hanging on to it and really, are fortunate to have it, actually. Goodbye. That's it.
Thanks, George. So Dan Watkins got a great question. Our understanding is that the sale to Walker is a done deal. What is the legal recourse to challenge this?
The sale to Walker does not occur until Side Road 2627 is completed. Side Road 2627 has been denied by the Niagara Escarpment Commission. And in their, in carrying out and trying to get ready, they appealed that, of course. And then trying to, work with the appeal document, they discovered additional wetlands right within the right-of-way. We have a slide. I can't show it to you here, but there is a slide that shows. I think we had over 14 wetlands, and the consultant for Clearview only had, I think, 7, and the M&R only have 4. But if you actually go and walk the site and take a look at it from top to bottom, you'll see there's over 14 wetlands.
Mm-hmm. Great. Lorraine Sutton asks, why did Clearview agree to the selling of a piece of road, and how much should Walker contribute for a new road?
Okay, maybe I can shed some light on that. The way the deal was set up originally was that the county of Simcoe paid Clearview Township $2 million to take the chunk of County Road 91, roughly from a little bit west of Duntruth to the county line at the top of the escarpment, off their hands. So that became a municipal road, and they got $2 million for that. And then the municipality decided to sell the road to Walker in a secret deal that was announced really in the late stages of the expansion hearing for the Walker Quarry for $6.5 million. So part of that money, I believe all of it, has now been spent on fixing up County Road 91, and they had allocated originally $500,000 to improve the side road 2627. But I believe, as your presentation has shown, Carl, that the cost of fixing 2627 to the standard that is now contemplated would be well over $4 million. And I don't believe there is money coming from Walker to pay for that. So that's coming out of the hide of Clearview taxpayers.
Okay, great answer. I want to, there's one thing I forgot to mention, which is we will have this presentation for your viewing pleasure on our website shortly, in case you or your friends missed it or you'd like to see it again. And in fact, the Collingwood Climate Action Team, who are in attendance here, would like to have it on their website as well. So yes, of course, we will put it up. Thank you for sharing. George?
The thing that no one's talked about is the overall cost of the road. It's going to be a very difficult road, obviously, to maintain. Snow removal on it is, like on a day like today, is very difficult. They can't. They in order to get at it, you've got some deep cuts there that they're proposing. They're proposing cutting at the top approximately 2 meters, filling at the bottom approximately 2 meters. And what that does is change the slope of the road from approximately 14% to slightly less than 11.8 or something. So
do you want to illustrate, like, what is 14%, George? Is that, how steep is that? Can you have a for example here?
Well, it's not. It's if you go, I look at it as if you go up. If you go, well, 12%. Okay, 12%. It's 12 feet and 100.
Sure.
12 feet and 100.
Scenic Caves Road, how does that compare?
Scenic Caves Road would have slopes on it that are approaching that, and also 19. But they have bends and a number of things in it which help and make it a better situation. Normally, what you do, you'd put curbs or chicanes or switchbacks in a road to get up the escarpment. And I think it's really, really important that the people in that area understand, including Collingwood and town of Boulogne, is that you've got more traffic coming into area, obviously, than ever because of the growth. And we saw that last year for sure. And what happens is what they've done is they've taken out a connection, a network. In a network, you've taken out one of the links. And when you do that, you weaken that whole area at a time when you should be trying to strengthen it. Mm-hmm. And believe me, that the road that is being proposed, Highway 26, along from Collingwood through Thornbury and up into Owen Sound, sort of thing, that road is a disaster on a weekend. It's too narrow. It's right against the water, and they don't have any room to wiggle. So it's really tough this year. We had a person killed on it last week. So that road has to get looked at. And the traffic to make it wider and so forth is extremely expensive. And what someone should be sitting back in the province and Clearview and the counties and understanding that what they're doing by messing around with a network that's been around for 100 years and has worked very satisfactorily.
Yeah. We have a question from Barbara Mann regarding writing MPPs and whatnot. Are emails as effective as snail mail? They are to government. I'm not sure if they are to industry, but certainly they are to government. Form emails are sort of a lower, they're not as given as much, attributed as much importance as an individually written email. Barbara also asks, she noticed what appeared to be some scientific measuring equipment beside the road last summer. Does anybody know what that was?
Yes, the road, what they do is they measure level there. So by knowing the levels, they can actually compute flows. You
mean how many cars go through?
No, nothing to do with cars. It's all to do with the surface water trying to get across the road and down the road and the various, like it's right in the tributary of the Purdy River.
So they're measuring water levels.
Yeah, it measures water levels, right.
Great. Good question from David Young. If we win at the tribunal, can the minister do a ministerial zoning order, or is the tribunal the final decision?
I would think okay. It's complicated. Mr. Young. So what happens? What happens is simply this: the road development for 2627 has been appealed, and it's going to the hearing. The environmental hearing tribunal. So that's set up, and that's the first thing. The second thing is the appeal was looked at, and there was a staff report from the Niagara Escarpment Commission that was put forward, and they have taken that report and passed it on to the hearing tribunal for a review and a recommendation. And that recommendation then goes back to the Niagara Escarpment Commission board, and they decide whether they're sending it to the minister, who would then make the final decision. That's what's supposed to happen. So it's a bit of a deal. But if you look at, if you actually look at the staff report on page 50 of the, I guess it's 50, 50 of the staff report, what they've said is that what the proposed Niagara Escarpment Plan amendment is in conflict with the purposes and objectives of the Niagara Escarpment Plan. That's the staff's report. Its policies and development criteria, and that it should not be approved, not be approved for the following reasons. The amendment could set a precedence for future applications to allow infrastructure projects absent the full consideration of alternatives. The amendment is not consistent with the position of the Niagara Escarpment Commission on the related development permit application. Go on to say all alternatives have not been considered to justify the proposed policy changes, and that was one of the major points that we've made from day one, that they haven't looked at alternatives. And our legal firm, Robin Severnet, what she did was in our presentation, that was one of the key things. It's the impact on the environment, that's our sort of our mandate, but as well, they didn't look at alternatives, and they should have.
And that's a great segue to another question by Owen Gray, which is overall, does the Blue Mountain Watershed Trust feel that we are likely to defeat the 26-27 development if we get the funding that we need in time?
I think we have a better position for sure than, with the staff report and with our reports, the one that was done by our legal team, and obviously Wendy Franks's and David Stevenson's team.
Maybe you could just explain a little bit who we need to hire for what that hasn't already happened. I mean, this has been going on for 5 years now. Why do we need to keep hiring experts?
Charlie, they will. What will happen is they'll try to nail down on our witnesses. They can ask our witnesses. They can examine our witnesses. Our witness was Sarah Manguy, who's very competent. She's an environmental scientist, and our engineering guy was Gary Hunter, and our fish biologist, who was one of the best around anywhere, is Carl Schaefer, and unfortunately he died last year. But Carl put forward a brilliant report, and it says right in it, this is no place for a road, and he's right. That road would not be there if when it was initially laid out, they realized it was going up an escarpment and bloody water and everything else. They wouldn't do it, and they'd move it over somewhere to make it better. And County Road 91 is a far better location for a road going up the escarpment, and I think we should all realize that and support what has to be done to make that road viable and keep it going.
Yeah.
Maybe I could throw in a couple of points as well on this. There's a growing realization that there needs to be a regional traffic study. The area that we live in here is one of the fastest growing areas in the province, and it is economically important for a number of reasons, not the least of which is a tourism business. That road that they want to close is a major link in the east-west traffic flow from the Barrie, Aurelia area over to the Owen Sound and other area, and it helps to avoid going through Thornbury, Clarksburg, and Meaford, and so we've been asking for a major Government of Ontario sponsored traffic study to be done in this area here, because traffic is becoming a major problem. I think Alvar Server, who is the mayor of Town of the Blue Mountains, has revealed that something of the order of 37,000 average vehicle trips a day are going along Highway 26 through Thornbury. We also know that there are something like between 2,000 and 3,000 average vehicle trips going along the county line, much of it going down 91 and the 10th line to Collingwood and Town of Blue Mountains and intra-west. So if we, I believe that a reasonable government will take a look at this. If it's asked to close this artery, it's going to look at this traffic issue, and I think we have a very good chance of making some headway with the government in terms of getting a sympathetic hearing to keeping that road open. If we can keep that road open, then 26-27 goes away as an issue.
So a tangential question from Catherine Dawes: how does this tie in with the plans to pave concession 10 over to 124? There's already increased traffic on concession 10 for people coming up and down from the Collingwood area as a shortcut to get to from Mississauga to Blue Mountain, for example, and then people coming to Point South from Collingwood.
Well, paving the 10th line was all part of the original grand plan, which was vastly underfunded. by the original road agreement deal. There is no money in the kitty. There's no pile of money to do that at this time. So if 10 is going to be paved, it's going to come straight out of Clearview's taxpayers' pockets.
But that's been the plan for some time. And do you think that we would be seeing increased truck traffic if 91 is closed on concession 10?
Yes.
Well, oh yeah. So what'll happen is that some increased traffic will go down 26, 27. It will dead end in the 10th line, which is a very, very dangerous intersection. And it will either have to turn right and go back up the hill and turn left onto the remnant of 91 down to Duntroon, or it will turn left and go down 10 towards Collingwood. There will be no other way. There is no other way for traffic to move. And when you've got, transport trailers and farm equipment and tanker trucks and everything going down that narrow piece of road, that is going to create serious safety issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carl, one of the things that people should realize is side road 26, 27 is a seasonal road right now. It's single path, highly rutted, as you've shown in your photographs. But the thing that's really concerned in the design, the proposed design for that road, what it's shown as a maximum all year round loading of 5 tons. So you can't put heavy equipment up it. You can't, like farm equipment and trucks. And they never were going to put quarry trucks up it. But quarry trucks are quarry trucks. But there are other trucks that are very heavy, and they've got to find a way of getting up the hill, and it takes them longer and makes them less competitive or whatever. Uses
so
more.
We have a bunch of questions that don't pertain to traffic or roads, but let's end off with, or for the time being at least, with one that does pertain. It's a great question from Barbara Mann. Why does Walkers still want to close the road given the tunnel underneath it? I think we can only conjecture.
Well, I think it's a simple question that they value the aggregate that's in the road allowance and under the road.
Yeah, it's millions of tons, Carl.
Yeah. It's almost a rhetorical question, but I thought we'd ask it anyhow. So we have a couple of other interesting questions that Pauline, who's part of the Blue Mountain Watershed Trust, Pauline Home, Blue Mountain Watershed Trust Communications Committee asks, regarding the wetlands and species at risk, have these been examined? If turtles at risk, there are 8 types at risk in Ontario. If found, wouldn't this stop work from going ahead?
Well, it's no different than the bats, Carl. The snapping turtles, they've been observed in there. The actual tortoises, the amphibian study, they really haven't been recorded there. So I don't think they did a major issue on it. They would obviously look, but they weren't reported as significant.
Yeah, but
the big issue is like there's vegetation in there that's unique. You're dealing with wetlands that are that are there because of the seeps. I mean, this isn't warm water that's feeding them; it's cooler water, and as a result, the vegetation that's in those wetlands is unique and rare. The quarry itself has one of the largest colonies of American heart-tongue fern anywhere in North America, according to the ecologists that looked at it, biologists or whatever. So that's the issue. There are issues in there, and we're trying to support it. The big one was the bats, though, because there's I think 8 known species of bats in Ontario, 7 of which are found on that road.
Wow.
And when you clear the road out, you have to understand, if you go down that road now, you can see all the trees and everything. They're going to have to clear that road out to do what they have to do. When they clear the road out, obviously they lose the canopy over the road, which is significant on that steep slope. Those are the issues that we're faced. And we feel it's an environmental impact that we're concerned with.
Good, great explanation. So it really is a special kind of an ecosystem in that area. Wetlands on the face of the escarpment. Sally Leopard asks, what type of volunteer help could you use?
Well, we need all the planning help we can get. That's what we're looking for. We need planning help. I know that Wendy Franks hired a planner, and we've got legal help, and thank God for that. And we've got we would like to get somehow a fish biologist that can review the work that Carl Schaefer did and help us there, because we'll no doubt be called on to worry about that one, because the fishery is important. I mean, the fish that are there, they're unique. They're speckled trout. I call them speckled trout, and they're speckled trout, and that whole area is a known habitat for trout.
Lorraine Sutton asks, how much tax is Clearview gaining in this deal if it goes ahead?
I don't think they're gaining anything. They sold, or they're proposed to sell the road for $6.5 million. They've got that money. They've spent it already on fixing up the piece of road between the 10th line and Duncan. And as far as I know, that's it. Once the money is gone, the only tax they get is a very small percentage, like a few cents a ton, royalty on the aggregate that's being mined there, and that's it.
They get that anyway.
And they get that anyway.
So it's a bit of a net loss.
So
Lorraine Sutton asks, do you have emails for Jim Wilson and Terry Dowdall, and who is the reeve for Clearview and the person to contact at the NEC, so we can all send them emails objecting to the sale and change? I don't have them to hand.
But Carl, Norm here. Norm, I've got the emails for Jim Wilson and Terry Dowdell, and the one for Clearview, I haven't got it, but it would be available on the Township website.
So we can certainly put them onto this presentation before we post it, and and then you'll have them available to you. But I would suggest a quick internet search would definitely yield them as well. Seems there was a jackknifed tractor trailer on Concession Road 10 this week, reported. Paul McQueen says that today Grey Highlands, Town of Blue Mountains, and the County of Grey had a delegation. I'm not sure what that delegation is doing. If Clearview has been paid, has the 91 road not been sold? Well, it can't transfer ownership, as I understand it, until there is a viable replacement road, and that's what we're opposing. Margaret Eaton Kent. Paul says, today Grey Highlands, Town of Blue Mountains, and the County of Grey had a delegation today with the Ministry of Transportation. Well, that's good to hear. I wonder if this was on the agenda. Is there any political support for us? Kim asks.
I think some of the councillors may be listening right now, and there are councillors out there that certainly are in favor, and I don't want to mention who they are right now, but they're there, and they're there.
Further than that, though, they're in the adjoining municipalities of Grey Highlands, Town of the Blue Mountains, and even at the County of Grey level, there is political support for our our cause here.
For sure.
Great. So I've asked everybody to unmute themselves. If you want to speak, please do. Otherwise, please remain muted. So you can speak at will now, ask questions as you wish. Just please try not to speak over each other. Paul says that the meeting today was to discuss a regional transportation plan. Excellent. Well, that's good.
That is excellent.
If you can say that, and I certainly support it, but one of the things that worries me is why the hell isn't Collingwood in it? Why isn't Wasaga Beach? And where the hell is Simcoe? And Simcoe has essentially abdicated their responsibility of providing proper, effective inter-county roads. They've allowed them to take out one that never should be taken out without a replacement that's at least as good, if not better. So that's important for people to realize. And anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Until this happened, that was part of it.
Somebody's whispering.
Oh, that was Peggy. She was just mentioning that County Road 91 was part of the Simcoe Grey County network. It was,
But it was also part of the Simcoe County official plan, and they revised it, I don't know, 10 years ago, and what county roads they wanted to upgrade. This road had been they wanted to upgrade it to a county road status, and then got this crazy idea of downloading it and giving it to Walker, and that would save them having to pay money on it. Who knows? But the original application from Walker was to tunnel under the road. Taking this road out and replacing it with 26, 27 was not part of the original application for the quarry. And there's no need for it. They got the tunnel they originally wanted, and that county road should be part of the Simcoe County plan, and it ties in with the Grey County roads.
Mm-hmm. Suzanne sheds a bit of light on the tunnel, no pun intended. Suzanne Vestbeck, I'm assuming. So regarding Barbara's question of Walker's wanting to close the tunnel, we understand that the Walker Tunnel was designed as a temporary structure, that the tunnel has to be closed in order for the rehabilitation of the original south portion of the quarry, which is to become a lake. The aggregate within the purchased road allowance is reportedly not within any license agreement to date, thus cannot be removed without further process, with the outcome of the lake draining into the new quarry.
I think that, Carl, you're right, but I still think that's something that should be relooked at. The whole area, if Walker actually got the whole area as they're proposing, that would become, if they mined it, that would become a very large lake. One of the largest lakes in the area. And it's no longer a pond. You have to appreciate that quarry. The elevation for the quarry is doesn't matter, but it's underwater. It would be underwater by about 10 meters, 30 feet when it's restored. There's all sorts of cracks and fissures and everything across. So the existing quarry, obviously it will fill up very slowly, but it will fill up. And the other quarry on the other side of the road, if it was left, the two of those would finally reach the same location. So you'd have two ponds on either side of the road. I think there's something here that people should realize. There is I'm going to call it a win-win situation. If we could just get people to sit down and properly discuss it. And that is simply this. There's no problem all year round, even today, going out along County Road 31, turning onto 26, 27, driving right down to the bow, the top of the escarpment. And there's two homes there, large homes. One on left or right side, right at the prow, I'll call it. And then halfway down, there's a couple that live there. So there's only 3 permanent residents on the top part of the escarpment. And on the bottom part of the escarpment, there are no permanent residence. There are properties that obviously need to get looked at. Those properties you could get through there on a single lane gravel road as they do now. Okay, so you could close the slope off, close it right off so that it's not used as a motor vehicle, truck vehicle. You could allow people to walk up it, to ski up, and do all the things that they want to do. You could do that, and it would cost them a hell of a lot less money. You could go over to the quarry and run, as we had Gary Hunter do, run an alternate road through the quarry, either the old one, the new one. You could do it. And if you wanted, then Walker could mine the rock if that's what they're after. So you could do that. So and also you would not, in that way, you would enhance the environment in the area. And
so there are lots of alternatives. There's really no reason to dig out 26, 27, in other words.
Yeah.
Paul McQueen says, I can speak, and I see Mayor Sorver is on the Zoom as well. Paul, did you have anything to add?
So good evening, everyone, and great discussion. And I'm happy to see lots of interest in this issue. This issue has been going on since the late part of 2009. Believe it or not, it's been going on that long. And so I just wanted to speak a little bit about today. So today, this is the ROMA conference, the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association conference. It's Zoom. It's not, as we know, the reasons why, but everything works very well on Zoom. So we, Grey Highlands, Blue Mountains, and the County of Grey had 3 delegations that were back to back today. And certainly Grey Highlands went first, and certainly we spoke about this corridor and about the concern. Well, the bigger part is how our region is growing. And to think back in 2009, 2010, when this was sort of put together as a plan, the traffic at that time was considered maybe 1,000 cars a day. You can imagine the growth that we've had in the last 10 years to our region, and more specifically in the last 6 months. To think that that major corridor, that major link that people are coming up here, coming and going, would be shut off. And I think I'll leave maybe Mayor Soever to speak about the Highway 26 and what happened this summer. And it was sort of when that section of the road was reduced in speed, it really had an effect. But I'll leave that to him. But anyway, so we've gone through quite of array of events since 2009, 2010 when it was put together. But certainly Grey Highlands' position has always been that we've never supported the closing of that road unless there's an alternative road that's equal or up to the same standard as that county road, that Simcoe County Road 91. Certainly the County of Grey sort of made a bit of a deal back in 2010, and since then, Grey County has taken a little bit of a different position, and certainly there is, I'm going to say May 28th, 2020, and then going back to, I think, May of 2019, the County of Grey has sort of taken a different position and certainly has not supported the amendment. May 28th, 2020, certainly has a motion on the books, and it didn't support the amendment to the Niagara Escarpment Plan, which is currently where the process is at right now. And that amendment, for those people listening, means that they have to do an amendment to change this particular road to allow them to do the construction that is what they prefer to do. Back in 2015, there was a development permit that did go to the Niagara Escarpment Commission, and it was turned down, I think, 12 to 1 or 11 to 1. I just can't quite remember the exact number, but everybody on the commission except the Clearview representative turned it down, and then it went to the hearing, the ERT hearing after that, and then the results of that hearing was they needed to do the amendment to the Niagara Escarpment Plan, which is going through the process now, as George sort of laid out at the beginning of this meeting. So again, going back to our delegation today, so part of our delegation is Grey Highlands, and I sort of fronted that discussion was, the growth that this area has seen, the town of Blue Mountains has seen, and as certainly as those coming into our region. And so that sort of led into my point about this particular road about closing, and I raised those points about the concerns around that and the reasons of having a master or a regional transportation plan. And again, that's what, as George sort of said earlier on in this evening's meeting, was there needed to be a study. There needed to be a study looked at, the regional transportation way back to do an environmental assessment from a Class A to a Class C, which was always our position for a long time. But the ministry, for whatever reason, said that they didn't need to be stepped up to a higher environmental assessment. But again, the whole purpose was again reiterating the part about a regional transportation study. So then the County of Grey, the current warden and a number of representatives from the County of Grey was then with the delegation with again, Minister Maroney was part of who we were speaking with, and their staff. Again, the County of Grey sort of spoke about the bigger picture about the county and how a number of corridors coming in, not just with regards to Highway 26, but certainly 6 and 10, and again to speak to the part about a regional transportation study, even in a County of Grey perspective. And then the town of Blue Mountains and led by Mayor Lars Weber, he spoke then about more to the Highway 26 issue, and he also sort of followed it back with regards to the Simcoe County Road 91, and also the purpose or the reason for having a regional transportation study. So we were very well received, and so I think there's going to be some results coming out of that. And just more recently, just this past week, Brian Saunderson, the mayor of Collingwood, as you all know, and I know there's some representatives probably from that council, is looking at setting up sort of a regional discussion with sort of the mayor and CAOs of Wasaga Beach, Clearview, Town of Collingwood, Blue Mountains, and Grey Highlands. So, which is really a good forum moving forward. So then we can talk about the regional parts and sort of have that bigger conversation. So again, I don't know. There's quite a history to this file, and I know there's been many town halls in Singhampton and public meetings. I think we had a public meeting in the Oshby Community Center back in I think about June or May of 2019. Mr. Doug Dingledine has brought presentations to the County of Grey, has spoken at a number of events. And I know Lori Gillies and I think Doug Dingledine, I think you guys had a petition, and I think one particular weekend, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, I think you were handing out flyers on that particular road, and people were just like, "What? You're closing this road? Like this doesn't make sense." And so I know there's a lot of history to the reasons that. And the last comment, I guess it's Carl.
Yeah,
right?
we've got. If you don't mind wrapping up, Paul, we've got a few other questions to go, and we're at 8 o'clock.
So I guess the last comment I'll make is this road is vertically challenged, and there's a lot of issues around ambulance service, fire service, fire. So there's a lot of intricacies that go between Grey and Simcoe, along with even Grey Highlands and Clearview. And if that corridor is closed, and I know Mr. Dingledine has spoken to it as well, is the response time is greatly increased because of this particular road. And one of the things we do get, Carl, is we get snow, and sometimes to plow a road that's vertically challenged uphill could be a problem. So I'll leave it at that. Sorry, I'll be available for any questions.
Great, thanks, Paul. And I'd like to borrow your cousin's Mustang sometime if you don't mind.
Oh.
All right. So Jeffrey Bridges says, ask Blue Mountain Ratepayers Association for financial help. Kim says there are so many rich property owners in the town of Blue Mountains. If there was some way to get them to care, I feel your cause could be victorious. These things are true. There are a lot of worthy causes out there today, and we do our best to try and attract attention. But as you may know, it's not always easy. Barbara Mann has a question. Does the area to the west, Rob Roy, Pretty River Valley, have a residents association, and are they involved?
Doug would know better than anyone.
Yeah, I'm not aware that they do have a residents association, but they would be greatly affected, because if 91 is closed, a lot of the traffic coming east along 31 is going to end up turning down the Pretty River Valley Road, and that used to be the county road. That used to be County Road 31. And and when Simcoe and Gray got together and aligned 91 and 31, then that took the heat off pressures to upgrade the Pretty River Valley Road, and it was left largely alone, thank goodness. But if this gets closed, that's going to put pressure on that beautiful road. So there are all kinds of sort of ricocheting impacts of this all over the place. And that's why some kind of a regional traffic study needs to be done.
You're saying we have an equilibrium at the moment, and we don't want to disturb that without doing a big study.
With respect to the question that was asked, though, there's the Friends of the Pretty River. They're I don't know if they're where they are, but they certainly supported us. And Don Avery was one of the members of that committee, and he submitted a very, very well-written issue paper on the amendment of why it shouldn't go forward. Mm-hmm. But that's the Friends of the Pretty River, and there may be somebody out there that knows how to get a hold of them. Don Avery was the contact I had.
Right. Norman Wingrove, Blue Mountain Watershed Trust acting president, put up some email addresses in the chat for Terry Dowdall, Clearview Mayor, and Doug Measures. So if you want to take a look at the chat, you'll find those there. Time do we have? 8:07, so maybe we'll go till 8:15. Anybody else want to ask more questions? We have a few here, but I'm not sure those people are still.
It's Lars Weber, Mayor of the town of the Blue Mountains.
Please.
Well, we've been working on this issue with Paul, and we of course oppose the closing, and we've actually, I did make a deputation.
Roland.
We did actually make a deputation before the Escarpment Commission at their hearing at the end of October. And I think it was very well received, and that included traffic data from Highway 26 and also 31, which you can use to interpret a range of traffic on 91. So we council has asked that we also apply for participant status at the Environmental Review Tribunal. So we'll be doing that at the pre-hearing at the end of February. So we are very active on this file, and certainly regional transportation is a big issue, and Paul's already described all the work that's being done at the county level. And you know, everybody's painted into a corner here. The deal with the Clearview,
Go ahead.
they're now obligated to proceed. If they don't proceed, there's money that has to go back to walkers as the deal gets undone. And so everybody's kind of going, well, we're on the 5-yard line. Let's see if we're going to get a touchdown. And if they don't cross the goal line, then maybe people will be willing to come to the table.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You know, one thing I should maybe point out is that Walker was going to have to upgrade highway or County Road 91 anyway, in order to be, because it was its designated haul route. And so the $6.5 million that it's pumped into Clearview's pocket, and that Clearview spent on upgrading 91 could be seen as Walker's contribution to improving the safety of that road. They were originally asked, Walker was originally asked for $13 million, and they balked at that. And so coming in at $6.5 million is 50% of what they originally asked for to fix up that road.
And that was 10 years ago.
And that was 10 years ago, by the way.
Right. Margaret Eaton Kent asks a very good question. So what does the Blue Mountain Watershed Trust need money for now? And the answer to that is we need to hire experts to support our case in the Environmental Review Tribunal. George, do you want to go through the kind of experts that we need again?
Well, I tried to. The fishery biologists we need to find, and we have Sarah Mangai. She's one of our key witnesses, and we have as our engineering road expert. We've engaged Gary Hunter. So those are the two we have right now, and we need a fish biologist. We're very fortunate to have lawyers pro bono. My daughter Sarah is with Davies, and Robin. The two of them are together, working on this thing. And people got to understand something. There were 14 pre-conference hearings, 14 prior to the one we're talking about now. And we have to line up. We have to send a lawyer. You can't go into them. We've learned through hard experience that the only way you can go into these hearings is with a lawyer. You've got to have a lawyer on board, and you've got to be able to call witnesses. You have to be able to negotiate and do a whole slew of things, which as a party status you can do. So it's really important we have party status, and participant status is what we normally do, and that's fine. But you don't have the ability to call witnesses and things like that. So that's the issue. The one thing that we look at is environment. I mean, that's our bag, and we see an impact on the environment, and we've made our case there. So we've done that. Now we need someone. We need planning people that can come in and contest that. And we're hoping that others will do that. But we need to have that strategy there where we have a planner that can go at the planners. And you have to understand in the planning, initially it started out with, I think, R.J. Burnside, and then it went to Skelton Brummel. And then it's now with what are they called, GSP. So there's been 3 planners involved by Clearview. And the last one was August 20th came in with his report, which is about an inch thick. And we weren't given the opportunity to even review it because the Niagara Escarpment Commission were under pressure to get the bloody staff report out by October. And notwithstanding that, I did review it, and I did put a comment into the NEC for it. And it's the same issue. That we don't agree with it, and we're going the direction we're going as long as we can be financed.
Right. Barbara Mann has a comment. She says, I see that Clearview Councillor Doug McKechnie is here for the meeting. Does he have an update or any info on Clearview's current position? Councillor, feel free to speak up if you so wish. Sally Leopard comments, very pleased to hear that the town of the Blue Mountains is joining as a participant. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any last question? We have a bunch outstanding here, but I think we're going to cut it off in about a minute's time. We have any burning questions that anybody would like to ask before we do so? A couple of messages that just came in here. Eleanor Ward, how about the town of Blue Mountains participating as a party instead of participant? I think they might have missed the boat on that. George, Doug?
Certainly if they were a party, that would be great if they would, but the fact that they're there as a party would be fine too. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any opinion on it.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and spending the time this evening. It's been super informative. I've learned a few things. I'm sure you have as well. So we will have this presentation up on the website fairly soon, watershedtrust.ca. You're welcome to contact George or Doug for further information. We do need volunteers, especially those with any sort of planning skills, fundraising skills. You're welcome to contact info@watershedtrust.ca. Norm Wingrove and I get those emails, so we'll be quick to respond. Yeah, let's hope that we beat it. We appreciate your support.
Thanks, Carl. Good job.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Carl,
Carl.
Jonas, and Doug, for a great presentation. Very informative.
Thanks, Morag. Thank
Night,
you very
everyone.
much, George and Doug, for being here as our experts.
Mhm.
Very much.
Okay.
It was great.
Thank you, Carl, for hosting it, setting it up.
Thanks very much, Carl.
Bye all.
Thanks again.